Hello, everybody, and welcome. Today is Saturday, August 8th, 2020, and this is a very brief midday live stream. I'm your host, Permission to Exist, and this live stream is going to be about something I recently learned all about narcissist criminal negligence. We're going to talk about it. Stay tuned. Welcome, everybody, as you fill into the room. I hope you're having a great Saturday so far, wherever you are. We're going to go ahead and get started here in a minute. I'll just give you a little bit of context behind this live stream. So this live stream was actually born out of my most recent live stream, which is my People of the Lie review series. Let's go ahead and put that up so you guys know what you're looking for, if you're looking for it. This was born out of my second episode, which I have linked in the description box for you. And in this episode, I was trying to find a term that was escaping me during the course of the show. And initially, the viewers pegged it as gross negligence, the term that I was looking for. And I thought that that was it. But it turns out the term I was actually looking for that night was criminal negligence. So we're going to get into that and how significant that is in regard to narcissists and narcissism. So just sit tight 1 second and let me actually get myself readjusted on this side, and we're going to take a look at it, okay? Welcome, everybody. All right, everybody, welcome into the room. Let's go ahead and get started on our topic. We will not be here very long, and I may not even do an after show, really. This is just something I really wanted to share with you guys, and I couldn't wait till our next People of the Lie live stream. So we're just going to talk about it this morning or afternoon in some places of the world. So the context, again, was born out of that video when we were talking about something an individual in that book, their parents had done to them that was so egregious. I was trying to find the term criminal negligence, or they were criminally negligent in what they had done. And because I'm trying to keep this live stream monetized, to find out what they did, you'll have to go watch that video. Some of you already know. And it's so significant that I just had to come on here and share it. So thank you to the viewers who both offered up the gross negligence and to the viewer who ultimately offered up the term criminal negligence, which is what I was looking for. So I wanted to go to a more official source first, because the one we're really going to look at is the Wikipedia source. And I'm very well aware that Wikipedia is not an official source, if you will, quote unquote. But it is the one that gives the most context on what we're talking about. So the official source is the Black's Online Law Dictionary, Black's Law Dictionary. What is criminal negligence? Quite simply, they've outlined it here, as a case of neglect or negligence of such nature that it will be punishable as a crime, okay? So that's not really telling us much. And I wouldn't come on and do a whole live stream for that sentence. So let's look at a little bit more in-depth of a breakdown of this on Wikipedia. And then we're going to talk about this definition and how significant it is, okay? So criminal negligence. This is the Wikipedia version, and both of these are linked in the description box. Welcome, everybody. So in criminal law, let's see if I can highlight this. I don't know if highlighting, nope, let's just leave it alone. In criminal law, criminal negligence is a surrogate mens rea, Latin for guilty mind, required to constitute a conventional as opposed to strict liability offense. It is not, strictly speaking, a mens rea because it refers to an objective standard of behavior expected of the defendant and does not refer to their mental state. Okay, so this sentence is not exactly what we're here for. I just wanted to read it because it starts the article. We're here for this big chunk right here in the concept piece. All right. And I don't know if highlighting helps you guys or if it's not helpful. So I'm just going to leave it highlighted for a second. Then I'm going to take the highlighting off so I can read it. Okay. All right. So concept. Here's why we're here. To constitute a crime, there must be an actus reus, Latin for guilty act, accompanied by the mens rea. It says see concurrence, but mens rea means guilty mind. Okay, guilty act with guilty mind. Negligence shows the least level of culpability, intention being the most serious, and recklessness being of intermediate seriousness, overlapping with gross negligence. The distinction between recklessness and criminal negligence lies in the presence or absence of foresight as to the prohibited consequences. Recklessness is usually described as a malfeasance where the defendant knowingly exposes another to the risk of injury. The fault lies in being willing to run the risk. But criminal negligence is a misfeasance or nonfeasance, see omission, where the fault lies in the failure to foresee and so allow otherwise avoidable dangers to manifest. In some cases, this failure can rise to the level of willful blindness, where the individual intentionally avoids averting to the reality of a situation. In the United States, there may sometimes be a slightly different interpretation for willful blindness. The degree of culpability is determined by applying a reasonable person standard. Criminal negligence becomes gross when the failure to foresee involves a wanton disregard for human life. See the definitions of corporate manslaughter and in many common law jurisdictions of gross negligence manslaughter, okay? So hopefully that hopped out at you what I wanted to show you, but in the event that it didn't, I yanked it and I put it on a slide. So let me pull that up really quick so we can really chew on this for a second, okay? Welcome everybody. This is just a quick live stream. We won't be here very long today. So this is the same chunk that we just read, pulled out so we can really, really talk about it, okay? So many times on this channel, well, first of all, many times on this channel, I've said that these people need to be arrested. They do. I've said many times, a lot of the criminals are actually free. And I didn't realize that this is what I meant, but this is really what I meant. Because sure, they don't engage in law-breaking behavior. So for all intents and purposes, they are law-abiding citizens. They don't break the law. They pay their taxes on time. You know, they do everything by the book. Check, 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 check. But the way that they treat people falls to the level, or maybe even rises to the level of criminal negligence in their day-to-day lives. And this is why these people need to be arrested. In my early videos, I used to say that they needed to be quarantined, but I think quarantine has a different connotation now and triggers different feelings in people. So I'll just take away the word quarantine and say they need to be arrested, which is the same thing. You're gathering them together and putting them away somewhere else. But this is why. And we've talked about so many of these things on this channel before. So let's just go through this very slowly and then we'll get out of here, okay? Welcome to everybody in the chat. So it says to constitute a crime, there must be an actus reus, Latin for guilty act, accompanied by the mens rea, guilty mind. So guilty act with a guilty mind, okay? Now, when it comes to narcissists, we don't necessarily know that they have a guilty mind. We don't know that, okay? That's up for debate. If they had a guilty mind, maybe they wouldn't do what they did. So it's up for debate. So let's keep going. Negligence shows the least level of culpability or guilt, intention being the most serious, and recklessness being of intermediate seriousness, overlapping with gross negligence, okay? Meaning you're just so sloppy that you're causing harm, right? But the mind is still present through these, okay? So let's keep going. The distinction between recklessness and criminal negligence lies in the presence or absence of foresight as to the prohibited consequences. In other words, were you able to see that this was going to happen? Or are you so absent-minded that you could not see what was getting ready to happen? So for those who know the situation with Bobby and his parents, again, it's up for debate whether or not they knew what they were doing, okay? But either way, it doesn't matter. It still rises to the level of criminal negligence, because if you knew the consequences, well, that's premeditated. But if you didn't know the consequences, well, that makes you such a dangerous person that you need to be arrested. Either way, they can't escape guilt. Do you see? I wish I could really go into it, but I want this one to stay monetized. I want the stream to stay monetized. Just know they did something so bad that it really could have brought a lot of harm to their son, and they should have known better, basically. So if they knew what they were doing, well, that makes you a sociopath, psychopath, premeditated type of intention person. But if you didn't know, that means that you're lacking in awareness to a level that's criminal, and you need to be arrested. Okay. And in that particular story, the therapist, if the parents weren't willing to work with sending the son to another family member, the therapist was going to refer the son to the state, and rightfully so, because even though he doesn't use these terms in the book, what he was basically saying was, oh, y'all are criminals. You're criminally negligent to the point where this boy does not need to live with you anymore, because if you'll make a mistake, and I hope you can hear my air quotes, if you have the ability to make a mistake like that, then you can make a mistake like that again and actually bring harm to him next time. So you don't need any child in your presence, really, because you're free criminals, basically. So let's keep going. Yes, ignorance is quite dangerous, okay? So it says, where did I leave off? Oh, the presence or absence of foresight. So before I move on, how many times have we discussed on this channel how narcissists don't seem to be able to think more than a few steps ahead? They can't foresee outcomes. They don't predict outcomes. They aren't creative thinkers who can imagine outcomes, is what I was looking for. They don't seem to be able to relate to cause and effect, or they disregard it completely. So understand that either one rises you to the level of criminal negligence. You either understand cause and effect and you totally disregard it, or you actually don't, which makes you dangerous both ways, really. And in my personal opinion, you're a little bit more dangerous if you really don't get it. If you actually honestly cannot connect the pieces and you cannot see how your actions will lead to certain outcomes, you're actually more dangerous than the person who knows exactly what they're doing. They both can bring harm, yes, but to me, the person who knows what they're doing is still in more control than the person who literally doesn't get it. Can't predict, can't foresee, can't foreshadow, can't do any of those things. So both of them rise you to the level of criminal negligence. Okay. So no foresight as to the prohibited consequences. So you didn't see it coming. So a lot of people who end up divorced, male or female, the ones who are sitting there going, I didn't see it coming, even though the other spouse had constantly been like telling them, hey, when you do this, it makes me feel this way. Hey, when you do that, it makes me feel this way. Hey, I don't know if I want to be in this relationship anymore. The spouse kept telling them, they ignored it, and boom, now they're divorced and completely blindsided. How are you blindsided? So let's keep going. Recklessness is usually described as a malfeasance, where the defendant knowingly exposes another to the risk of injury. Okay. The fault lies in being willing to run the risk. Oh, I thought this was so major. You were willing to run the risk. You were willing to take that chance. Okay. You were willing to do something that isn't guaranteed to result in harm, but it could result in harm to any person, to any reasonable person. Do you understand? So for example, to use a mild example, letting a 6-year-old drive the car. While sure, you're in the passenger seat, but you let the 6-year-old take the car on the highway where people are going 75 miles per hour, and then you cause an accident. The 6-year-old causes an accident, a major one. And your argument will be, well, I was in the car with the 6-year-old, so I don't understand why I'm being arrested. Well, because you engaged in extremely reckless conduct, because you were willing to run the risk of letting a 6-year-old drive a car. You see, it's the willingness to take the chance. You see? So let's keep going. And narcs are very reckless like that. They're always willing to run any number of risks because mainly they either don't care about the consequences or they don't see them, either of which rises you to the level of criminal negligence. Okay. But criminal negligence is a misfeasance or nonfeasance, see omission, where the fault lies in the failure to foresee and so allow otherwise avoidable dangers to manifest. So what this is basically saying, what I'm seeing here, and the way I'm interpreting this is that criminal negligence is when you should have seen it coming and you didn't, right? The fault lies in the failure to foresee and so allow otherwise avoidable dangers to manifest. So in other words, your inability to conclude and to predict, not that you're a psychic, but predictions that any reasonable person could make. So for example, you left a 4-year-old and a 6-year-old home alone for 24 hours. And eventually the 6-year-old was able to unlock the front door and leave with the 4-year-old and go roaming around the neighborhood, right? So once they get picked up by the police and figure out that they've been home alone for 24 hours, you're going to get arrested for not only child neglect, but probably some level of criminal negligence as well. Because you should, hush puppy, you should be able to foresee the dangers that would manifest as a result of something like that. You should have been able to foresee the consequences of something like that. Foresee the consequences, puppy. You should be able to know that's a bad idea. So like I've stated in other videos, the fact that you can't see or don't know or aren't willing to acknowledge what a bad idea that is makes you a dangerous person. It makes you dangerous because you have a tough time empathizing. This has a lot to do with empathy. Empathy is the ability to imagine things, imagine impacts, imagine how things are going to affect someone or something. The fact that you can't imagine those things or you actively disregard those imaginations makes you a dangerous person. And it's so nice to see it confirmed. This is essentially what I've been saying. So let's keep going. In some cases, this failure can rise to the level of willful blindness. In other words, active ignorance, where the individual intentionally avoids adverting to the reality of a situation. So I actually have a video called Narcissists. What is it called? Narcs create artificial reality. Narcs believe in artificial reality. What is that video called? I'm getting to the point where I'm starting to forget my own stuff. Artificial reality permission. Let's see what it's called. Oh, it's called Creating Artificial Reality with the Narc. So the individual intentionally avoids adverting to the reality of a situation. So you're ignoring reality. Oh, I hope AL is in the chat. Because this would go right to his favorite saying, which is that your feelings aren't facts, unfortunately. Now, I personally do believe that feelings matter because your feelings are a response to something. But you might be responding to something that's not true, but that's a whole nother conversation. You're intentionally avoiding, basically submitting to the reality of a situation. You're trying to pretend it doesn't exist. You're trying to ignore it. You're trying to override natural laws. And as a result, you brought great harm to someone or something. So I feel like this whole entire legal paragraph is describing narcissists to a T. To a T. The degree of culpability or guilt is determined by applying a reasonable person standard. Criminal negligence becomes gross when the failure to foresee involves a wanton disregard for human life. See the definitions of corporate manslaughter and in many common law jurisdictions of gross negligence manslaughter. So if I'm interpreting this correctly, gross negligence might actually be higher than criminal negligence, which would make the first person who said gross negligence correct. But I don't know if I'm interpreting this correctly. It says, criminal negligence becomes gross when the failure to foresee involves a wanton disregard for human life. So maybe gross negligence is the correct term that I was looking for. So it might go gross negligence, criminal negligence, recklessness. I don't know what's got this little dog so worked up. What's up, pup? Okay. Either way, guys, nailed it. Okay. Be it gross negligence, criminal negligence, nailed it either way. These are the people who either refuse to foresee or don't foresee. They either refuse to see it or they don't see it. And that makes them extremely dangerous people because you cannot reason with people like that. Which is why the reasonable person standard applies here. But if you can't reason with someone and they either refuse to acknowledge consequences or don't see them, you are dangerous. You're a dangerous person. And it looks like the law agrees. The law just hasn't turned their attention to these cluster B individuals yet. Because once they do, a lot of things that have been happening to the victims and others who have been impacted by narcissists and other criminal people, but not under the law per se, I think we'll start to see a lot more justice for people like this. Because the thing about the law is the burden always lies in proof. You always have to be able to prove it, right? And so much of what happens to the survivors of narcissists is we're often lacking proof. The only proof you have is you were there, right? But I believe that if the law ever turns their attention to these cluster Bs, proof will be in impacts and outcomes. So you can prove things like text messages. You may not be able to prove conversations conversations. But if you put a narcissist on the stand and start grilling them, it will become abundantly clear very quickly that this person is telling the truth, because most narcs can't keep their lies up for very long, especially not under the intense pressure of being grilled by a very good attorney. Because you have to answer the questions. Now, you can keep pleading the fifth if you want to, but eventually the jury would be like, wow, they're very evasive. They're very avoidant. They don't want to answer any questions. They're getting very defensive, just like this person who's sitting over here was saying. They don't appear to want to resolve any issues. They're avoiding direct questions. They're avoiding reality. They refuse to walk the consequence trail. So, hey, Mr. and Mrs. Narcissist, what do you think would happen if A plus B? They'll say, well, I don't know, because A could be A and B could be B. And like, no, it's not what I asked you. I asked you, what do you think would happen if A plus B? Well, I don't know. I'm not a psychic. The jury will eventually be able to pick up on these behaviors and probably rule in the favor of the person that this person has been tormenting. So a lot can be proven simply by attempting to interact with these people, you see. But right now, the law is not focused on these types of things. The law is not focused on the damage that interpersonal behaviors can cause. The violence that causes no marks, no physical scars, no wounds, no bruises, no scabs, nothing. The other type of violence that can't be accounted for in a tangible manner. Once we start accounting for that, we might be able to start getting these people locked up where they belong, because they are active criminals. They're just not breaking any legal codes. That's all. So this is really all I wanted to say, you guys. Very short stream. I will roll through your comments very quickly, and then we'll get out of here and get to enjoying our weekend. Let's see. Hi, everybody. Welcome. Thanks for joining. It says the narc I know is a felon. A lot of them are actual documented criminals, but many of them are undocumented criminals. You know what? That's what we're going to start calling these people. Undocumented criminals. Narcs are undocumented criminals. No. So in regard to Bobby in the book that we're reading, People of the Lie, it says, did his parents get jailed? No, I don't think so. And I have kind of bad recall, so I'd have to go verify that. But no, they're free as birds. And by the way, and I'm going to make this correction on the next stream, but Bobby is not a millennial. He's a Gen Xer. My mathematics kicked in after the stream. And when I listened back, and I was like, wait a minute, if he was 15 in 1983, he's not a millennial. He's a Gen Xer. So shout out to mathematics, and shout out to those of you who caught that as well. No, ignorance is not bliss. Ignorance is dangerous. Yes, it is. So people who like to ignore issues like, oh, well, nothing you can do about it. Oh, well, that's life. Oh, well, oh, well. People who like to ignore issues are not as dangerous as narcissists, but they can be, because the thing is, you ignore an issue until it actually becomes a problem that you can't ignore anymore. So as painful and uncomfortable as a lot of issues are, we have to deal with them. Otherwise, they eventually become problems that you have no choice but to face. Oh, absolutely. His parents should have been charged and arrested. Need to be arrested. 100%. Right. It says they probably could escape guilt because it wasn't illegal to give a minor a situation in their area and time. Also, the book was written in the early 80s. However, these cases are from his entire career. Exactly. So someone made a really good comment under either that video or episode 1, where they said that it appears that narcissists need laws in order to know how to behave. So in other words, a narcissist is only, certain narcs, not all of them, are only as good as the law allows. So this would probably be your more covert narcissists, your more hidden ones. They will do whatever, they will do anything and everything up into what the law allows. So if the law does not allow, something today, they won't do it. But if the law allows it tomorrow, they will. And I would give some extreme examples, but again, I'm trying to keep this stream monetized. But think about that. So in other words, they are not controlled by any internal, sorry, my nose is stuffy. They are not controlled by any internal legal system. They are controlled by the external legal system. And we talked about this too, internal versus external locus of control. So narcissists basically need to be told what to do and need to be told how to act. They won't steal because the law says it's wrong, not because it's just the wrong thing to do. Do you understand? It's wrong to steal because that belongs to somebody else. They worked hard for it. They probably want it, whatever you stole. They want it. They don't have it because they don't want it. It's theirs. It belongs to them. So the principle is sound without regard to what the law says. Like if the law suddenly said, it's okay to steal from your neighbor up to $500. Narcissists will be like, awesome. Finally, I've been trying to get that lawnmower off their backyard for years. Man, I wanted that mower for years. And the law finally says I can do it. And the next day, as soon as the law goes into effect, the narcissist will go steal that lawnmower. Versus a person who's like, wow, I can't believe it's legal now to steal up to $500. I'm not going to go do it because it's wrong. And I don't want anyone to steal from me. So just because the law says you can steal something up to $500 doesn't mean I'm now suddenly going to go run out and steal everything $500 or less. So whatever your default is your character. You don't need the law to dictate to you right and wrong. Now, when you get into more complicated matters like contract law and things like that, yeah, you need the law to sort out minor details that people don't normally think about, right? Situations and circumstances that people don't sit around and think about all day. You need the law for minutia like that, but simple basic principles you really don't need it for. But narcissists do, because the law is the only thing that keeps some of these people in check. I think I've said that before, or something close to it. The law is the only thing that keeps some of these people under control. So the removal of the law is a very dangerous thing for us all, because narcissists can't wait for some of these laws to go away so they can do what they want to do. Do you understand? Absolutely. It says they are functionally insane. Absolutely. And need to be arrested and quarantined, put away, institutionalized. Uh-oh. Where did it go? Here it is. Yes, they lack social intelligence to a criminally negligent degree. It says enlightenment is seeing reality as it is. Narcissism is delusion. Absolutely. It says, I cut willfully blind people out of my life. I have good scissors. Good for you. Good. You got to. People who actively ignore things and are willfully blind, you can't. They're too dangerous. I'm telling you. Like, these are the type of people I would not let babysit or watch my pets, obviously. I mean, obviously they're narcissists, so I wouldn't. But if it was someone who I hadn't quite picked up on that yet, but I could see that they were willfully or actively blind in other areas, I wouldn't let them watch my pets, because you're going to do something like accidentally leave the back door open or the front door, or forget to feed them or something like that, that will then cause me to have to go through my getting arrested routine. So see, as opposed to, there's fallout from dealing with people who are willfully blind, just get them out of your life. Exactly. That's my point. You need to be arrested. If nothing else, you need somebody who's with you all the time. You need like not a babysitter. It's a word very close. You need like a ward or a guard or something to be with you at all times, to watch over you, because you can't be trusted by yourself. Undocumented criminals, that is our new name for narcs. Undocumented criminals is what they are. Undocumented criminals. All right, let's see here. So you know what? So this is a good question. It says, I'm not getting notifications. So is there a schedule of when you're planning to go live? Not as of yet. That's a future goal. The thing is, my lives are often inspired. So I just become moved and just go do them. So I don't know. I tried to do a schedule back in 2018. So I would do like one live stream per month, but it got to the point where I felt like I was forcing them. And I never want to force the content. I want it to just flow out. So I stopped doing the monthly live stream guarantees. So right now there's no schedule, unfortunately, but I'm glad you bring this up. I'll put it out here and I'll put it in a few other places. One of my viewers recommended me doing an email list. So anytime I'm live or anytime I post a new video, you would just get an email from me that says, hey, new video up. Hey, new live stream up, or a live stream going right now. If you are interested in that, please email me at permission2exist@gmail.com. I'll drop it in the chat really quick. And I think it's actually really smart because permission2exist@gmail.com. I didn't realize how bad it was, like how many of my subs are not getting notified of my videos. But it's also, there's other things going on as well. So like I have multiple YouTube accounts. So I'm not subscribed to everybody in every YouTube account. So some people might be in another YouTube account that will not get the notification if they're not subscribed to me on that account. Does that make sense? So the email list may not be a horrible idea. If you guys are interested in it, just drop me an email in the subject line, just put list or add me to the list. And I will keep a running list of email addresses. When I email, I will blind copy everybody. So your email address will not be on display. And I will not spam you because I don't have time to spam anybody. I barely have time to reply to the emails in my inbox right now. So if you've emailed me in like the past 6 months, just know I am slowly working my way to you, okay? And I am so sorry for the delay. I really am, y'all. I'm trying to do better. It's just so hard. So I say all that to say that you don't have to worry about spam from me. I'll never sell your information, and I will hide your email address so everybody won't have it, okay? But I think that's a great idea. If you're interested in receiving email notifications when I'm live or when I post a video, email me and I'll get your name on the list, and that's what we'll do. All right. Also, make sure for those of you who are subscribed on this particular account that you have, make sure you've hit the notification bell, because that should tell you when I'm live and stuff or post a video. All right. Hey, Alice, how's it going? Welcome. All right. So we're going to get out of here pretty soon. This is just going to be a quick little live stream. It says, you're so right on narcs need to be told what to do. They have no principles and need to be told how to act, even in a caring manner with their children. Right. Like sometimes you'll hear people say, teach me how to love. Now, I understand people needing to know how to love a specific person because we all have different love languages, if you will. But love should be a naturally arising emotion. So the fact that the love doesn't bubble up naturally is what concerns me. You may not know how to love me specifically, right? You may not know to bring me food. If you love me, bring me food. You may not know that, but you know you should feel the love anyway. Like, love should be a naturally arising emotion. It's not something that should necessarily be taught. So you may not know how to wash a baby, but you should know to pick the baby up kind of gently, right? Because you love the baby and you want to make sure you got a good grip on the baby. You want to make sure you don't drop the baby. You know, you may not know how to wash a baby, but you know not to fill a bathtub up to the very top and put the baby in a bathtub that's filled up to the brim, right? You do know that much, right? Because love should tell you, well, I'm a human and this is a little human, and this little human probably can't swim. So I'm not going to fill the tub all the way up. Matter of fact, I'm only going to put in like an inch or two of water. And I'm going to stay right here the whole time and watch the baby to make sure the baby's okay. I may not know how to wash the baby and wash every crevice, but I at least know how to kind of protect the baby, right? Love should be a naturally occurring emotion. So when people say, teach me how to love, that's concerning to me. Very concerning to me. Let's see here. Oh, I saw a super chat come in. Let me see if I can find it. Oh, thank you so much, Alice. I appreciate it. Alice, the snake charmer. I appreciate it. Thank you for the support on this beautiful Saturday. I hope it's beautiful where you guys are. Let me go through just a few more comments and then we'll get out of here, okay? Oh, other channels are having issues too. I noticed that a couple of YouTubers I watch were having streaming issues just like I did the other night. And y'all, my devastation is real because I edited the live stream to edit out me bumbling and stumbling with the streaming issues. And it killed the live chat because for whatever reason, if you edit a live stream, it wipes the live chat out completely. As opposed to just cutting out that piece of the live chat, it cuts out the whole live chat. And that's why we have such a love-hate relationship with this platform. Like, really, I edited out like 1 minute of content and you wiped out almost 2 hours worth of live chat. And the devastation is real. I'm so upset. So I will never, ever edit a live stream again until they fix that. But luckily I did at least get to see all the comments before that happened. But still, man, it's so infuriating. Let's see. All right, just a few more comments. We'll get out of here. It says, the Bible says people will have no natural affection in the last days. It doesn't arise naturally for some people these days. 2 Timothy 3, 1 and 5. Yep. That's sad. That's frightening. You have to be taught how to love, and it's really something you can't teach. Doesn't it? Teach me. And there's a whole song, y'all, called Teach Me How to Love. Teach me how to love. Show me how. Now, how? Let's just read it. I'm going to go find it. It's a beautiful song, but it's still, if you think about what's being said, lyrics. If it's by Music Soul Child, if you think about what's being said, it's basically saying, I don't know how to love you. You got to tell me how. So think about how you treat things or how you might treat something you don't love. So the chorus is, teach me how to love. Show me the way to surrender my heart. Girl, I'm so lost. Teach me how to love, how I can get my emotions involved. Teach me. Show me how to love. Show me the way to surrender my heart. Girl, I'm so lost. Teach me how to love, how I can get my emotions involved. Teach me how to love. So, in other words, you're dealing with an individual who doesn't even know how to activate their emotions, doesn't know how to feel love, has to be taught. So, if you don't feel love, what do you feel towards me? Hate? Yeah, I can see that. It shows. Your natural hatred shows. Yep. So, ladies and gentlemen, really, but ladies especially, if a man is in your face telling you, teach me how to love, show me how to get my emotions involved, you need to break up with him, honey. Because if you don't feel love, what do you feel? You either feel nothing or you feel hatred towards me. And I feel the hatred coming out more often than not. They are cut off from their feelings. 100%. And the thing about feelings, so even though I giggle at the feelings aren't facts, because it cracks me up because this is just a funny person. Feelings are still important because feelings guide actions. You understand? So again, your feelings are arising from something which may or may not be true, which is where the statement feelings aren't facts comes from. But people act off of their feelings. Your feelings dictate your actions more often than not. So if you feel nothing towards me, you're going to treat me in ways that demonstrate that nothingness. Or if you feel hatred towards me, you're going to treat me in ways that demonstrate that hatred. So, but you're going to treat me in some type of way determinate based on your feelings or lack thereof. So, yep. Show me the way to surrender my heart. I can't tell you how to surrender your heart. That's your heart. Oh, goodness. Okay, let's see here. Yep. I've only done one video where I broke apart a song called Goodbye, My Lover, a narcissist theme song. I don't know what I called it, but it's based on the song Goodbye, My Lover. I need to start doing that again because I think we need to talk about some of these songs that have impacted our lives and that are stuck in our heads and may or may not be influencing our outlook on life. But yeah, very sweet, oh baby, teach me how to love you. But that means if we're even having this conversation, how have you been acting up until this point? Right. You can't be taught how to love as an adult. You either feel it or you don't. Let's see. Oh, they're amazing at showing hate, aren't they? Right. It says, I used to say, if that's your idea of love, I hate to see what your hatred is. Here he is. Here he is. It's goddamn right. Your feelings ain't facts. Therefore, you know the rest, PTE. Hey, always levitated. How are you? By the way, I have not forgotten about those songs. Okay. I have not forgotten about your playlist. I've just been preoccupied, but I have not forgotten about you. I want you to know that. But yeah. So welcome. I'm glad you're here. All right. Well, that made my day. So with that, you guys, I'm going to go ahead and wrap up. I hope you enjoyed this brief midday live stream. Hope it made sense. And it just feels a little bit like some of my theories and proposals have been validated. These folks need to be arrested. They are criminally negligent and criminally liable for a lot of things that they've never been documented for. So this is an ode to our undocumented criminals, both in your life and no longer in your life. Be careful, watch out for them. And next time they mess with you, say, you could be arrested for this, right? And just see what happens. Just see how it goes. I'm only kidding, but kind of. So with that, you guys, take care. Have a great rest of the afternoon. And I will talk to you again soon, okay? Bye.